So I'm just going to start. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Lynn Mazzara. I'm a navigator with the Mastrius program. And I'm the host for the next hour where we are going to get to know Jennifer Mercede. I want to read a brief introduction about Jennifer that was written by Carrie at Artist Strong, and it is just so well done. I couldn't do it better. So, originally from the East Coast, now living in Portland, Oregon, Jennifer Mercede primarily abstract paintings consist of free flow text, bright color fields, and energetic doodling. She is inspired by funky color combinations, children's art, graffiti, and abstract expressionism. In her own words, toddler meets street art meets fine art. Her process is spontaneous and expressive, and to quote her, I paint fast, I doodle, I paint stream of consciousness. For me, there are no such things as mistakes in art or in life. And with those words, Jennifer, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jennifer. Hello to everyone here and that'll be watching the video. So yeah, I've been doing art all my life, and I started started becoming my career around 2006 when I started selling my work and realizing that I could make a living with it. And I, like my bio said, I just love being expressive. I love color. I love just being in the moment and being free with my work. I did go to school for art, and I think some of the freedom that I experienced, honestly, comes from what I had to break free of after going through academia and everything that was kind of taught to me and that I thought art was and should be, and then kind of being able to break free and do it my own way. So I think that helped me to develop the voice that I have now as an artist. So as an artist and as a professional artist, I do lots of different things. I love to have variety in my career. So I license work, I do murals, I teach, I do like small stuff, I do large stuff. I really like to mix it up. And as far as teaching goes, I really like to help people to loosen up and be free. And as a mentor here, I'm looking forward to offering that, as well as anything that people are looking forward to asking me about as a teacher, mentor. Yeah.
So did you go to art school, or did you go a different path?
Well, I did go to school. I went to a 4-year college, and I got a BA in fine arts. I didn't go to an art school necessarily, but I did study. I went studied painting for a couple of years. Then I switched schools, mostly because I was in Arizona and I wanted to snowboard and kayak, and there wasn't that. So I moved to Bellingham, Washington. And then I also was like, well, they have an art program, perfect. But they didn't have illustration. Actually, that's what I started off with, was illustration. I didn't have that at Western. So then I just switched to painting, and it's kind of what's propelled me.
So how, I have to ask, your style is so unique and uniquely you and interesting. What was the jumping off platform for you to discover that? Because I'm thinking painting class didn't teach you what you do.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's like the biggest compliment I feel like I could get. And I think that, like I mentioned, I went through college, and I remember, I think it was a little bit of that like molten rock kind of thing. It's just like the challenge and the struggle a little bit of being in a place of academia where art is defined as one thing and not another, and kind of knowing that I had a lot I wanted to say, like that feeling really clear, even expressing that to some of my teachers, just being like, I know I have things I want to say, which also kind of translates to like, I know I have this voice that wants to come out, but I didn't really know how to get there. But honestly, I just kept making art. And I think it was after coming out of school and redefining what art could be. So I have like a list of what the rules that I wanted to break free from school. And I have a list, I still have this list that I wrote down at the time. And I used different words. It was a little bit like more like, rules that I want to, like integrate into my computer brain and ones that can F off, you know, because I just wanted to, like, for example, things like, you know, in order to be an artist, you have to paint big, or, you know, it's okay to use colored pencils and paint in the same painting, or, you know, like I can use tape on my painting, and like I'm still an artist if I do these things that maybe my teachers didn't approve of. So I could have, you know, dropped it at that point after having kind of been a little discouraged from school, but I did, because I just have such a love for being creative, I was able to keep making art. And as I did that, I started to feel like when I would do certain paintings that they really felt like me. They just felt different than anything I had done before. And they felt like, just like my voice. I don't know, like, it's just when anything just feels authentically you, when you are in your life, living your life, and you just feel like this feels like me, this resonates. And so paintings that I did started to feel like that. I kind of called them tap in paintings. So like they were tapping into this part of me that just felt like me. And to be honest, I wouldn't know if they were different than other artists' paintings or not, but like to me, making them felt like me. So I kind of followed that path and just continued to, those tended to be like more abstract, more free. And that's kind of how that voice started of doing that. Because up until that point, I had mostly done more portraits. That's what I studied in school, was more self-portraits and learning more technique. And even seeing art, abstract art at that time, I remember thinking like, how do you know where to put things? Like, how do you even know how to do an abstract piece? It just seemed so foreign up until this point where I started to tap in and just loosen up a lot. And like I said, it just kind of kept, it was just about like constantly putting in the time. And that was an enjoyable process for me. It wasn't like you need to sit down and paint for 2 hours. It was like, I'm bringing my sketchbook everywhere I go, and I'm going to just keep making art as I do it and enjoy it. So that would be how I'd say it kind of started, and just continuing to follow that, like, oh, wow, this feels like me. So let me do this more. And then following that path and seeing where it leads, you know.
Wow. I have so much respect for that story, because how to stay your path when you're trying to be you and it's different than everybody else. And like you said, you threw out rules and you brought in your own new, like your own personal, not new rules, but personal rules, is speaking to me as I journey my art path right now. I just want to say hello to Raven, who just popped in.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Raven.
I don't know if it would be, I would like to just do a quick round of hello everybody, and who you are and where you're from and what kind of art you do. And if you like, what you're interested in about Jennifer. And I'll start. I'm Lynn Mazzara. I'm a self-taught mixed media artist. I have been artistic all my life, and Jennifer's work speaks directly to my soul, because that's how I want to paint. Just like her, and free and loose, and I feel like I have something to say too. So everything she says is giving me goosebumps. And Jill, would you like to go next?
Of course I will. I'm not muted, am I? Okay. So I'm Jill McDougall. I live in Anacortes, Washington, so not too far from where you live. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
And I do mixed media art. I used to do oils and acrylics, but I have kind of started just doing more of what I love too, which is just putting things together and what am I drawn to, so I can really identify with that. And I too got a lot of formal art training back in college, and it's been a journey. Like, that stuff's all valuable, but I can completely relate to your process too. So I look forward to hearing more from you. So I appreciate you sharing that and being authentic, because I think that's really important. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you bet. And Raven, hi, good to see you.
Hello, my name is Raven. I'm living in Houston, Texas. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Actually, I just signed up today. I thought I was already signed up because I thought that it was an automatic renewal. I did the free month. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't been to a Mastrius event in a while. I wonder, and I'm like, I'm not a member. What?
Jeez.
Anywho, I just wanted to show up because I love listening to artists talk. So I'm going to actually work while you're talking, if that's all right.
Cool. Yeah, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet
And
you all.
Debbie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Debbie Freilich, and I live in Kansas City. And I am a retired graphic designer from a major electric utility. So I know everything about branding and messaging and all that. And so, but I consider myself more as a creative maker because I like to go in textiles, mixed media, visual journaling. And so I'm at that path. I want to break away from graphic design in terms of the guidelines, the things that are boilerplate, and to get to that free and loose wildness, whimsical part of it. And that's kind of what entices, my connection with Jennifer's work. And I like to do doodling. And I kind of think of Jennifer's work as sort of like stream of unconsciousness. Some of those things where the pen is just kind of guiding itself. And then the word, because I love type. And so putting the messaging in there and the more whimsical and the simplicity of picking a palette, because I like the rainbow. The palette for me is rainbow, but I like kind of being like, 5 or 6 colors that contrast and work with each other and kind of get it more simplistic, but still have fun and make an impact. And so that's kind of what's enticed me to check it out.
Wonderful. Thank
Welcome.
you. Jennifer, I'm really interested in how you use stream of consciousness writing in your art. Is that something you can speak to?
Sure, yeah. So like Debbie like you mentioned, that is a part that I really like to tap into, like the stream of consciousness. And so as you doodle, like it is a flow, right? You're not really thinking about what you're doodling. That's why I think some of the best doodles happen when you're on the phone or distracted or studying, like watching or listening to a talk or something, because you're like present with your doodles, but you're not really trying to control anything. So it just kind of comes out. And so my text is similar. It's not preconceived. It's just like in that moment, that word is passing through my brain. And so it passes like into my brain, through my arm, into my hand, and then just comes out the pen kind of thing. It's just like the same way that the lines are coming out, the words come out. So they often are, a thought that I might have, or if I'm listening to a song, or if there's a conversation I'm in the middle of, then those words just kind of like come out and become concrete on the doodle. And sometimes it's just like, there's something about the word is just interesting to me. So that's kind of what makes that word be the one that comes. And like I said, it's not very intentional. I just did a huge mural here in Portland, and there's some funny words. Funny to me, there are these words that ended up being large. There's 3 of them. One is more, one is liberty. I can't even remember the third word, but when more, I was listening to a song and the word more hit me, that was the word to put in the mural. Just like I said, it was in the song and it kept being repeated. And I was like, more? Like, what does that even like? That's like, it's nothing like hope or dream, or you know what I mean? Like nothing, what's so fancy about the word more? But I had to act quickly because otherwise I might overthink it. So like, I just allowed that word to come through and wrote more, like probably 4 feet. The word is like 4 feet across, the word more. And then it like kind of matches with the other words that are there. Like I said, liberty, and the other one is, so like people come and they kind of make their own interpretation of what that means. Like they may or may not know my process, and they may or may not know that I wasn't trying to specifically say anything, but they can also make it mean something. And I mean, this is maybe deeper than you want to know and all that, but I kind of think it's like maybe some kind of other energy in some way guiding a message, like you look at the mural and you take away something from it that I didn't intend. I didn't know you needed that message or wanted that or whatever. And you come and you look at it and it's like, it all makes sense to you, those words. But to me, in that moment, it was very much just like I said, the song was like more. And I'm like, more. So anyway, that's kind of how the words come through,
I love that. Love that.
Me too.
Yep. I know, Lynn, you use a lot of words in your art. I use words in my art too. And it's very nice to hear you articulate that. And also just kind of like, everybody can take away their own meaning from it. And that's, I think, the beauty of just being a little bit more flexible and vague in what you're using and choosing. Also, it's like,
Yeah.
what I love about more abstract work too, that's drawing me to it, is that there's room for interpretation. There's room to kind of let people have an experience with your work. And it sounds like you do that a lot. And I feel like that in your work. You can just explore,
That's
you
very
have a
cool.
moment to just
Yeah.
pause. So
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Debbie, is there anything that you wanted to ask Jennifer? Just, I want to give you space to ask a question if you like.
Well, it's I don't if this question is awkward, then it's okay. In
Sure.
terms of picking this platform, because I know you've had other platforms that you've had your classes, your online classes. Why choose this platform? What made you decide to try this platform?
Well, so this is a different kind of platform. This is a mentorship versus a class. So Lynn can probably speak more to that than me, but I'll just say for myself, like this is, I'm free to do other platforms, things like that, teach classes, and I still will continue to teach actual classes, but I'm excited to try this format out, which like I said, is more mentorship. And so if Lynn, if you want to tell her the difference, perhaps.
Okay. And it's what drew me to Mastrius too, because I was an artist who was looking for something more. I felt like I'd gone as far as I could go on my own, but I wasn't looking for more instruction or more how to. I was looking actually for more about how to be an artist and a mentorship, as well as getting technique and technical information from the artist I'm working with. They guide me in my journey based on their history. Jennifer's been doing this since 2006. I won't say how many years that is. And she sells her work. She markets her work. She knows about what you work with, Debbie. The word escapes me.
I'm kind of a master of
but
Graphic design.
Graphic
Yeah,
design,
right,
thank
right.
you. She
Yeah.
knows about graphic design and mural painting, and she also knows about like where I'm at right now, which is I don't paint like everybody else. Nobody paints like everybody else, but I don't paint in a traditional way. And I have big issues around my confidence in my own work. And although I love what I do, then I think about what other people, I think what they might think, and I think what they might see. And I have lots of imposter syndrome issues. And in a mentorship, we talk about stuff like that. We talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about how to make an artist website, if that's what you're interested in. We do instruction, and we have critiques. Jennifer would look at our homework every month and give us, her opinion on it. Always supportive, of course. But we also talk about more than just how to make art. And I have to tell you, being an artist in a group of other like-minded individuals who are sharing that same journey, who have those same fears, who can paint a fantastic picture on Monday and everything from Tuesday on is crap. Like, what's that about? And no one understands that unless they're doing it with us, right? So although I can get classes and technical information everywhere in this world, especially on the internet, I can't get the mentorship that I've gotten in the last 2 years at Mastrius. That's been invaluable, and the relationships, and a person I can actually ask the scary questions to, like, is this really art, or am I a pretender? I mean, that's the scary one for me.
Yeah.
And I also like how non-competitive Mastrius is too. I mean, Lynn and I have the privilege of, like, just recently we've gotten to be in a group together, and I mean, it's just been amazing. Like, I get to watch Lynn's progress on a piece over the days or weeks that she's working on it, and just the camaraderie that we get in those mentorships too, not only with our mentor, but with our group members over time has really been a
Yeah.
game changer for me. I feel like I have an art community to lean on and encourage me. So yeah.
And can I just jump in to add something too?
Hi,
Absolutely,
everyone.
Carrie.
Hi. I find classes they're about a certain subject already pre-chosen, and they're for a specific length of time. It's like a one and done, and you do a workshop with someone, and then you go off and you never see them again, and they never see you again. Whereas a mentorship, it's a more long-term, and it's each member might have individual questions for the mentor, and the mentor will answer us each individually, and it might be slightly different. So they're following you along, and they can help you move forward bit by bit, and depending on what you're interested in doing. So it can be more tailored to your own, exactly what each student needs or wants.
Mm-hmm. And there's only groups of, the maximum number in a group is 8 plus the navigator and the mentor. So you get individual, personal, as Carrie said, specific one-on-one instruction, information, and you can ask questions that you wouldn't feel comfortable asking in a large group in a workshop, or it just wouldn't even be appropriate at that point. So when I first discovered Mastrius, what drew me in, besides the artist that I absolutely admired, but was the idea of the business of being an artist, not just the technical side of it, or but the actual, what steps do I take now? Where do I go from here? And because of that, I now have an artist website. I can sell online. I have a growing Instagram following, and all because of instruction and direction given to me in different mentorships. Now, Jennifer has she's excited and has ideas for how she would like to move her mentorship forward, or how she would like to teach, except she's doing more than teaching. And again, it's kind of hard because you have an idea when you start, but the group actually will end up directing her by telling her what they want more of and where they would like her to focus.
Does that make sense to answer your question, Debbie?
Yes, and then I think as a layer, like you said, once you get your core group in terms of like the things that your vision, what you would like to show, but it sounds like it's kind of almost like an individually kind of custom in terms of each mentee. And but I think in terms of, do you have just like a very simplistic couple of outlines, like what your basic vision for the group would be, to at least to start off and launch? Or I guess, you know.
Well, I probably have a couple, like even like we're gonna do today, a little demo that I'm gonna do today, just which we probably would do again, maybe something like this in my mentorship. But yeah, I have a couple things that I do in my classes, and I think those would be jumping off points that we would do, to some, exercises, warm-ups, maybe some specific paintings that I will guide you to do, or and then really kind of gauge where everyone's at and what everyone most specifically wants, like as we do some of those exercises, and just see what people are most interested in. So like, like you said, the max could be 8. So, but what if it was just 4 people? Really, that's so tailored to where your guys are, what kind of, techniques you already are comfortable with, and what you are really looking to learn for yourself, for your art, not necessarily to be like me or do art like me, but to, free yourself up in your style and your art. And that's my main thing, is to assist you to connect to your voice. Like I will show you ways in which I free up, in hopes that it will help loosen things up for you in your color scheme, in your style, and your line quality. So like the goal wouldn't be come out like, let's make Jennifer Mercede paintings. It's like, let's make Debbie Froelich paintings, and the best, strongest voice, and how can I assist you to do that? But and I will be using some of my skills and techniques that I know to help you. So that's, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And one of the reasons I love being a mixed media artist is because I have an excuse to purchase any art product or supply that I want. And I'm really looking forward to Jennifer introducing me to some of her art
funny.
products.
So funny. I'm not like that, actually. I just use the simplest things. And I really personally, I encourage, I mean, you go get whatever you want to get, but like, I also really love to encourage people to use what they have, you know, because we all have a lot of art supplies, and it's more about like doing, I think, the art than like having the right supply. But like I said, by all means, Lynn, go get what you need and want, you know. But I am very much a proponent of just you know, I paint, I use ballpoint pen and wood, because when I graduated from school and I was traveling around, there was, I was like kind of living out of my car a little bit and just traveling in my car, and all I had was my pen, and I just found some scraps of wood. So I like a couple colors, because I learned how to mix a lot when I was in school. So I just feel like, I guess in some senses I'm somewhat minimalist, even though, you know, I mix media, but it doesn't mean you have to be, but it is like kind of the way that I like people to just have that like level of comfort where whatever you have is good enough, you know?
Absolutely. I agree completely. Use what you have. You don't need to go out and spend a lot of money, but if you can, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I know I have a lot of friends like that who really love to go and buy the newest thing and try new things. And it's so fun to try new things. It really is. And yes, I definitely have a couple of things that I'd love to share for sure. If you haven't done them already, I don't know.
I have a list of questions, but before I get to them, does anybody else have anything that they would like to know or ask Jennifer?
I'm looking forward to seeing your demo, Jennifer.
To do what? Seeing what?
I'm looking forward to seeing your demo.
Okay, cool.
Oh, speaking of that, we're at the half-hour mark. It would now be a good time to start the demo, Jennifer?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Did you want to talk to us about what you're doing first, or do we want to?
I can just start doing it, and I'll probably talk while I start doing it, because basically I'm going to be doing some doodling. So I'm going to turn my other camera on, which will show you guys my sketchbook. Make sure it's all good to go. But in the spirit of simplicity, I am going to be doing some simple doodling. And I wanted to show you guys a couple things too. So this is a painting of mine. This is a heart doodle that I've made around Valentine's Day. So this is kind of like what I want to demo right now, is just doing a simple doodle. And I can imagine it's something that we could do in my mentorship as an exercise and a painting, you know, just to practice loosening up and making a fun painting, and also playing with color. So I'm just gonna start doodling. And what I like to teach when I talk about doodling is just letting it flow. So I don't pick up the pen too much. Oh, you guys feel free to doodle along if you want to, but also just feel free to watch. Let's see. So when I doodle,
Jennifer, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Is everybody seeing Jennifer as the main screen?
Yeah,
yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure that's spotlighted. Okay.
So one thing I like to talk about with doodling is not to have a preconceived notion of what you're trying to make. You know, we're not necessarily doing any object. Now, sometimes you might find like, oh, wow, like I'm going to make a flower because like I kind of started these petals. So I'm going to go all around here. But then say I get here and I'm like, actually, like that feels tedious. I don't want to continue. The thing I really like to encourage in people is just to not do that just because you thought that you should at one point. And maybe when you were doing these little, what are these called? What are they called? Like
scallops?
Scallops, yeah. When you're doing the scallops over here, it was fun and enjoyable. And it felt like the action that your hand wanted to make. But as you got over here, like, oh, I just feel that it's like a chore, and just stop and do the next thing that your pen wants to do, like whatever that may be. And that gives you that freedom to just be in the moment, you know, not feeling obligated to kind of follow through on something that you thought you should do. So really eliminating that and just allowing your pen to guide and not having any preconceived notion or plan about what you're doing. And yeah, also coming back into some of the doodle spaces and making little shapes. I know many of you probably already doodle, but this is something that I love to do that really, and you'll notice I do it in some of my larger paintings as part of the layering. Feel free to ask me any questions about anything. It's just doodling, but
I notice you're not lifting your pen from the paper. Is that just something that you do because it feels good?
yeah, kind of. And I do like to encourage people, I guess, during this activity just to try that as well, just keep it flowing. But there's no rule about that necessarily.
Well, I really like how you said that bit about like, don't feel like you have to commit to like the scallops. Like if you're, it's like, just change it up. Like it doesn't have to be anything. I think it's so interesting as we doodle, just the thoughts that come into our mind of like, oh, I really like that. Oh, I really don't like that. That sort of thing. This is reminding me to just kind of go with it. And
true. Yes. Yeah. And like, for example, say you were to come in here, like, okay, I'm going to fill this entire space with these circles as your intention, right? But then you're like I said, if at any point it just feels like monotonous or tedious or not enjoyable, then why not stop there? It's hard to do sometimes because you think you are failing or something, right? But what if you just want to like cross that off? Okay, fine, now the shape is like that, or you don't even have to do that. But the idea is just to stay present with what is bringing you joy as you move your pen, and so mostly when I doodle, I'm moving a little bit slower, like as you notice, kind of it's just like more like this. But what if you actually have more of a fast energy, and you kind of want to have some fast doodles, like if that's what you're feeling like. There's no real rule about that.
mm-hmm.
Kind of, and like, and then that's over. Then you're like, actually, well, we got that out. And then staying really connected to what is bringing you pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
What's amazing me is how you're filling that page, because when I doodle, I'm so small and you're making me go big.
Are you doodling right now?
I am.
Cool.
I am. And after we stop spotlighting, I will show you what I did.
Cool.
It's kind of cool, actually.
And Jill,
like
kind
that.
of what you were saying too about like the things that you like and that you don't like. I feel like when I was originally starting my process and developing my voice, I remember I would do things a lot like kind of do this, circle thing where I filled in all these like circles, and I really loved it. I could do it forever. They probably have a doodle that you could just like do forever, right? Just something that, and I remember thinking like, God, just always doing the same thing. And then it was a shift at some point where I was like, well, hey, like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the fact that I love doing this? And why can't I do it as much and as often as I want, And so I think that's also a way in which voices can be developed, artistic voices, because you embrace the things that come naturally, that are enjoyable,
Yeah, and I think we can so easily get away from that too, just with, if I'm a real artist, then I won't just do things spontaneously, for example,
right.
or, and just letting yourself fall back into just letting things flow is something that I've really tried to focus on that the last few months, and I don't know where it'll take me, but hopefully somewhere.
Cool. I would love to see like your art. I'd be curious to see, just what I mean. You showing me something that feels more contrived versus something that you feel like you've loosened up on, just to see how it's
totally
influencing you.
Well, and interestingly, like not to get too far off on a tangent, but because we're talking about stream of consciousness, just this morning I was going through some journals from like 20 years ago when I would really do a lot of free drawing. And, I just realized, sometimes weird stuff comes through when you're just free flowing. And I think for years I was like, just kind of denying that and just being like, well, I don't like that. That's weird. That's too weird. But the reason I got those journals out this morning, so I was like, no, let's pay attention to that. Let's just what was I trying to say there? Is there something that is important there in the narrative. And it's not necessarily that I'm going to go and show that stuff. It's just paying attention to what we as artists have in us, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, Jill.
Well, I'm not going to show those things to just everybody. I honestly thought I should show them to artists at least, because she'd understand.
And I want to point out something that I'm experiencing in this demo. So I kind of was starting my normal, like these scallop things. And then as I was moving my pen, I started moving it a little bit more, just like kind of weird and letting it flow in a way that actually feels different for me, in the sense of just like funky and weird. And maybe it was because you were talking about what you were discovering, Jill, and you were talking about those sketches. And I think something about what you were saying kind of inputs. But like, this is like this is not how I normally move my pen. So, but I was enjoying the feeling of it, you know? So as you can see, I just kept doing it for a bunch just to see what it does. But just paying attention, like, I think that when I teach and, you know, if we were to work together, it's kind of just like helping people tune into what are you feeling when you're making art? You know, what are you feeling when you work fast, when you work slow, when you use this color, when you put this color next to that color? Like, what is it physically feeling for you? You know, like I said, in your body, but also emotionally, mentally, like, so just kind of tapping in and tuning into that is what I feel like is where I would probably start with working with people. And also just learning to like follow that, you know?
It's really interesting when you say tune in to how you're feeling, because I'm trying so hard not to think about how I'm feeling. I'm trying so hard to just get it out onto the paper. But you're right. When you hit that zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's the difference of like being in your head. I'm not asking you at all to like think about your feelings too much, but I'm like, can you sense the sensations, right? Like, what is feeling empowering? What's feeling good? Also, what doesn't feel good? What are you not enjoying? Can you just stop that and do something else? And like, I think, you know, for example, you know, at one moment this might feel good to do, but then a little while later it doesn't. Or you might feel like right now you really need to go like this, but a few moments later, what you really want is this. And so like, it changes what is actually resonating with you, because your mood changes, your emotions, your mentality. So keeping that in mind, it's not always the same thing that's going to be what you want to do.
I'm curious, I know Debbie's muted right now, but I'm curious, Debbie, with your background in graphic design and just the rules and everything, like, do you find yourself free doodling a lot or a little, or has there ever been a place for that?
No, because basically, you know, when you work for a utility company, it was everything had to be that palette and font and whatnot. And so, but when I'm doing my stuff, yes, I can do, because I think, you know, if you take lettering classes, you don't want to be like the teacher, and you have to get comfortable to your own hand lettering and find your style, you know, for that. So that's why I think I'm drawn, you know, with words and pictures. I like the type, you know, with words in my art.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is add some color. So I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about my paints that I use and things. Like I mentioned before, kind of using what you have. So I use all kinds. Right now, I'm actually really into these paints. Holbein.
Okay.
Holbein. I don't know. Is that how you say it? Anybody know?
Yep. That's how you say it.
Right? Okay, cool. I don't know. I just enjoy them, but that just means I'm enjoying them. It doesn't mean anything other than that. But I like using, like I said, the basic. This is just basic, maybe Michaels or something, or Blick. I like thicker paints, so I use these heavy bodies. But I also have some like from Target paints. So I'm kind of on the cheap paint side of things. Honestly, I don't use Goldens necessarily. I have a couple just because I don't know how I came across them, but I really like the color or something. I have a big chunk of white, you know, and I don't tend to like have a ton of colors because I'm mixing a lot of my colors. So that's just kind of how I learned, and I just tend to do it. But what I think we would get into in the class more is, you know, I would start off talking about color. If people were interested in that, we would do more of it. But for me, it's such an important part of my work that we would do some color exercises and play around with finding your color voice, but and mixing colors and things like that. So for me, I'm just kind of using some paint that's a little bit dried up on my palette right now, and this white here, and maybe some of this pink, I guess, orange I can get out. I tend to work pretty dry brush, which just means I don't really use a lot of water. Fine, I'll give you guys some more paint here. Let's get some of this kind of this neon. I love using neon colors too, honestly. I don't know, it's like it's just mostly what I use. And mixing it here, just I like to mix a lot in the palette. I don't mix up a ton of color at the same time. I just tend to do a little bit. And you can see, like, I really like it all mixed in. I roll my brush, get off the paint, then get a little bit of paint on my brush, and then just kind of start playing inside those shapes. I use these small brushes because, you know, they're easy to get into the smaller spaces. Sometimes I'll paint like large paintings all just with these smaller brushes. I don't know, it just, you know, this and a little bit bigger. When I color things in, I'm just kind of moving around. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason, as you can imagine. It's just kind of moving around wherever seems interesting to add it. I think some of the stuff from school, like composition and balance, you know, that I learned and studied, it kind of comes into play a little bit. And I just kind of, you know, subconsciously it's working with me, but I'm not really thinking about it a ton, but I'm pretty sure it's there. And so you can see I'm not too concerned about how perfectly I'm staying in the lines. And I'm kind of putting it in there.
I'm always so.
Go ahead.
I'm so impressed that you can talk and paint at the same time. I'm sorry.
Like
and then
actually.
I went and interrupted.
I kind of like it. So when so since color is such an important thing and it's something that I love so much, and I love like subtle changes in color, you know, like something like this, you know, this is probably just maybe 2 colors or something, and they're all just mixed together, which is something I would have us probably do exercises like that. I've taught about that, just like really a minimal palette and being able to create a lot from just a few colors. But so I like, that's why I like kind of I don't tend to wash my brush too often. That way there's a lot of paint still on the brush that then can get mixed into the next thing you do. And let me actually give myself some white here, and just mixing it in. So it's going to change the color, but only a tiny bit. So you're going to have same color, tiny change. And so similarly, okay, you know, this will go around, just play around. And if I change the color and go, say, like add something on the other side, like the blue here, come on, give me some. So now I'm kind of going to wet it, just get it, you know, like watercolor, just get some color in there. If you mix it in, so you're kind of going towards the blue, but I keep that pinkish color on there because it kind of keeps the palette related. Of course, if I really wanted to get that solid blue without any of the pink in there, without any muddying up of it at all, I would need to fully wash my brush and get just get that color alone by itself. But for the most part, I really love and I'm also using water right now for some reason, just kind of like using it almost as a watercolor. So filling it in lightly. It's kind of fun to do on paper. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I feel like I'm just like blah 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 real quick.
No, we love your bloody blah blah blah. It's wonderful.
So just kind of playing with, you know, you can't necessarily see my palette, but I'm just kind of using these same couple colors, you know, this color here, a little bit of white, and just mixing it in that same spot, because then it's kind of coming up with variations of those colors. And like I said, if we were to work together or if you take a class of mine or something like that, we would go more into detail and play. And I just like to have people, you know, discover colors that really sing for them, and like, you know, yeah, just like play with color more and talk about it. But it'd be really fun to have us geek out on color a little bit, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
I've actually never really done that so much, but it would be fun to, like, you know, see where we could go with our conversation on color.
Well, you referenced earlier, I'm trying to remember if I got the words right. I think you said color, you'd help us find our color personality. Was that the right?
Yeah,
Or
your
that-
color voice, you know, your color voice, like what,
That's it, color
Yeah.
voice. Love that
Yeah.
idea.
because, you know, honestly, you probably already have it. I mean, what clothes are you wearing? You know, what do you decorate your home in? You know, like you have colors that you gravitate to, that you like, you know, like it already is, but how do you, you know, put those together and really, you know, yeah, we could celebrate it.
Wow. I would love to go down that road.
Yeah.
Yes, I do love color. And well, Jill will tell you because she's seen my work. Yes, it hits you in the face, my color in my work. But I love that, yes, your color voice. I'm writing that down, my color voice.
Yeah.
Oh, and see how that doodle is taking on a personality and a life of its own now. Just with 3 tones of paint, 3 tones of color.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can keep painting this, but you also could pull out some markers and crayons and colored pencils and fill in shapes with that if people wanted to as well. You know, just it can be mixed in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of fun to come back and, you know, you mix the color a bunch and some of them are all muddy, but then you come back in with like a pretty solid neon pop. And that's really fun to play with too. Like what colors do you want to make stand out? How do you make certain colors stand out? Playing with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's, you know, it's interesting because it's a combination of, I guess when you think about that, there's a little bit of thinking behind it, right? Where you gotta, like, you have to understand some of that, but like also there's the intuition too. Like how do we discover what stands out?
I have a personal question to ask Jennifer.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't put you too much on the spot. Do you, now that you have found your voice, your, you know, you definitely have your own unique voice and style. Do you find it difficult to stay true to that voice when everybody else's work like is so different? Do you ever have imposter syndrome like I'm dealing with right now, or do you find it sometimes hard not to get swayed by current what's popular right now?
Well, I don't know if this answer will necessarily help, but basically I appreciate that you think my work is so different, because the way that I see it, I don't see it that way. I don't see it as so unique. So I don't know why, but that's just like, I don't see it like that. To me, maybe sometimes I thought about this before, and I think it's like, maybe most people would feel like this, I don't know, but it's kind of like how you see the world, you know, like these are the colors that I see in the world. These are like what I'm drawn to, right? So somehow this style is an extraction of all these different things that I see that have inspired me along the way. So to me, it's like almost like I've seen it everywhere from my eyes, you know? And then also I see like art that I'm like, oh yeah, and that feels like my art. I guess I don't feel that, you know, uniqueness in that way. But so I think that what I've been doing for the past several, you know, years, couple decades or whatever, it's very second nature. And so it's not hard to do it because it feels like this is what I do.
Okay.
That's
That's awesome. That gives me great hope.
awesome.
Now, does anybody have anything they want to know about Jennifer, her mentorship, Mastrius, or just any comments in general?
On the Mastrius, I went to Jennifer's page. Now, I noticed that the I guess that's a monthly fee. And then is that for 2 hours a month, each month? And then kind of outlining, you know, the homework, the kind of like the mentoring, and then getting together as a group. And is that for those 2 hours each month?
Great question, Debbie. We have a 2-hour session with Jennifer every month. That's with our group and Jennifer, where we go through her lesson plan and her mentorship, and we have homework, and she talks about her work and whatever we're going to do for those 2 hours. But we also get together once a month for an hour, just our group without Jennifer, where we can really talk about things like we talk about our homework, we talk about the mentorship and how it's going, we talk about our art life, we talk about our personal life, and we just bond as a group. And I get as much out of my 1 hour mid-month meetings as I get out of my 2 hour sessions. And although it doesn't seem like very much time on paper, oh my goodness, that month flies by and my homework is never ready on time.
Yeah. I bet.
Does that answer your question, Debbie?
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I want to say just like that, I want anyone to know listening to this is just that, you know, if you're considering a mentorship, if you're considering working with me, I just like really want people to know it's just like a no frills kind of thing. Like everyone's welcome as you are, like where your art is. And I know that I think that I am I'm set up to be a group of mentees for the aspiring, right?
That's correct.
But I also really want people to know, if they're looking at this, that I feel that emerging artists would also fit really great with this, what we're doing too. So just like, if you're in that category, just don't be deterred just because you're not an aspiring. I just personally think that like, it would be great to work with any artist who just feels inspired in any way. We can like work with where you're at. And I think, yeah, like I said, I just want it to be, it's like unpretentious, unassuming kind of, I assume most of Mastrius is like that, but I really want to just make sure everyone knows it's just like so welcoming and real.
Yeah, such a great point. Such a great point. And also a really good point about, you know, you don't have to fit into like a certain category, or, you know, you can learn from all different, I know they have different levels, like emerging, aspiring, that kind of thing, but you can absolutely hop in and find a whole lot of value in that. I love the color that you're using right now and what you're coloring, by the way.
Thanks. It's fun.
That's so
So is anyone else doodling besides me?
I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Well,
so
we've got, I'm going to
Jill,
take
you
off
are, and who else? Who
I
else? Still raise their hand, but who else?
I
Debbie, are
am.
you?
Carrie.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
wait, hang on. I'm gonna take off the spotlight so we can see each other. And is anybody willing to share? Oh, Carrie, held yours right up. Oh, wow.
I
you
had-
have
I had-
color.
I had ink that I was testing, like watercolor that I was testing yesterday. So it was already on the page, but then I drew lines all around it. I don't know if you can see like pen lines everywhere.
Oh, fun.
And then I just started
Yeah.
to, and then I just started to fill it in some of the colors. So yeah, it was kind of fun.
Cool.
Wow.
I
Jill,
have
are
a-
you ready to share?
Gosh, well, it's nothing fancy, but I was really following the guidelines of just loose and free and changing things up when I wasn't in the mood for anything anymore, and just kind of, you know, some of this stuff appears in some of my other doodling, and then other, you know, Jennifer, you were just kind of challenging us to kind of say, oh, let's move fast in some points and everything too. So then, and then I got going on my collage stuff and started cutting out some text, and the text that I realized I was cutting out is the phrase, "What is your mark?" And it just felt like very thematic for what we're all talking about. Like, what is your unique mark? So that can be like a little theme.
Yeah.
And I only have a fine line pen to work with, so I just
Beautiful.
let it
Yeah.
just let it flow. Whatever happened happened, and I really loved that what you said, Jennifer. Just let it flow. Just let the pen go where it goes, and I can't wait to add some color to this.
Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to start filling my doodles
I
with
love-
paint. I
Amen.
never really had thought about that before. So
Oh.
that's a neat way to take it and also maybe transition it into more finished pieces. So thanks for that. That's very valuable.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And if people were to, you know, participate with me in the mentorship, there's just like lots of things. Like I like to use this as like a layering piece for larger paintings, things like that. So just something
Yeah.
to do. to do inside of other drawings, that the doodling can be a part of the bigger piece.
Oh, I
That's
love
kind of-
that you mentioned layering, because I get lost in the layers of your artwork. It's so wonderful how you can keep them all there, but separate, but together, but cohesive. And of course, I have to mention before we end, the giraffes. Where did
That's
they
so-
come from? They are magnificent.
Oh,
Like-
you're so sweet, Lynn. Thanks. Thank you. I mean, it was just way back when I was mostly doing abstract work, I don't know, 10 years ago. And then honestly, a friend asked if I could paint a giraffe. And so I like found this long board. I had a long board and I did one for him. And it was kind of one of those things that honestly I put it out in a show, even though it was for him. I said, not for sale, but if you want one, let me know. And it was just one of those things that people wanted. So then I ended up just kind of going down that road. So I was like fortunate in the sense that people were excited about them. So I just kept doing more and more of them. They were fun. And I think that's kind of how I started getting into more animals too, was around that time. Yeah. And there's nothing in particular honestly about a giraffe, except for that my friend asked me for one and I had wood that was kind of fun to do, those long boards, just to do the giraffes on, following that flow of ease, I suppose.
I love that. Meant to be your own voice, and look what happens.
Yeah. And you too, I hope we get a chance to work together and, and develop your voice and strengthen it, and just, your confidence, and everybody, and you and everybody who's listening to this, just, hit me up, ask me any questions, ask Lynn any questions. If you're curious about what it would be like to work with us, and give it a shot. It'd be fun to have you.
That's wonderful. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's been a great hour. I can't believe it's already been an hour. It's gone by so fast. Any last words from anyone, or from you, Jennifer?
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Yeah,
Liz.
Thank
Jennifer.
you. Appreciate it. It was fun. It went by fast quick.
Oh, Debbie, I'm
Really, I
so
know.
glad you could come in. I really am. I hope, if nothing else, you look at the Mastrius events membership, which is very affordable, and a way to find out about more events like this, and you come to them for free and meet other artists, and you get to know the Mastrius family.
Thank you.
And that's how Raven got to know us.
Great.
Cool.
Well, thanks.
Awesome. Well, yeah,
everybody.
thank you so much for the opportunity and being here. Appreciate it. It's lovely
Yeah,
to be
that
here.
was
So
great.
thank you.
This was really fun. It was very, very helpful. It really opens your mind when you're doing those lines, and it's meditative in a way as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's it for today, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Bye,
Hope to see you all again
Thanks so
soon.
much. Take care, everyone.
Nice
Thank
seeing
you so
y'all
much.
again.
Take care.